All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say Call Halayim Law, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone. They rule and teach well. Peace and salutations to hopefully elect that is spreading the truth throughout the four winds. This is your brother Shamar. Come back for edification of scriptures. Today's lesson is going to be on blood sacrifice and blood rituals. All right, it's important to go over these things so people don't be ignorant. All right, don't be dumbfounded when they hear it. All right, that stuff in the Epstein files is very disturbing and could cause someone to go crazy because they've been believing in these politicians and their leaders. All right, but all of these leaders, including the rappers, TV entertainers, movie stars, kings, presidents, prime ministers, whatever you want to call them, all them that got all that money, you could tell if somebody doing this based on how much money they have. Because once somebody has too much money, they get approached, all right, by a secret order, all right. But it's called a couple of things. It would be called the Aryan Brotherhood, all right. The Aryan Brotherhood, who started this, you got to get raped in the ass in order to be in the gang. A lot of people don't even know that. People think they just joining these gangs, but in reality, these gangs work for the Satan. All right. They end up somewhere they don't want to be, and they take themselves out like little Papa. You never know what that man, what was told to him before when his manager got out the car. He could have said, "You gotta go kill a little girl. You gotta go eat a little boy. You gotta turn around and let me do something to your ass." All right, you never know what he said, but it was so traumatizing that the man took his own life. All right, and most of these celebrity deaths, they don't be accidents. They don't be car crashes or overdoses and stuff like that. They be real murders. All right, that's what they call Esau, the border of wickedness. All right, what else they call them? The border of wickedness. All right, Lucifer himself, they call him Lucifer. All right, Lucifer isn't an angel. All right, Lucifer is referring to a nation, because the angel that they trying to say is Lucifer, is his real name is Satan. But when you read about Lucifer falling from heaven, that's the only time it occurs in the Bible. That's talking about Esau falling from his father's grace. All right, that Abraham and Isaac was the most beloved people of the Most High. So he was at the top. He was at the top of the food chain, and then he fell from grace. All right, because he wanted to disobey his parents and be a man of the world. He didn't want to be a spiritual man. He wanted to go out and do what everybody else was doing. So that's why he lost his birthright and got a curse. All right, that blessed with the sword is a curse. All right, meaning you gonna rule everything, but you have to do all this horrible stuff in order to stay in rulership. These people be feeling bad about it too. All right, but let's get into this blood ritual. So a blood ritual is a ritual. A ritual is something that's repeated, an activity that's repeated over and over again. All right, so you can have good rituals or you can have bad rituals. All right, what's a ritual? What's a good ritual? All right, the Sabbath, that's a good ritual. What else? Hanukkah, that's a good ritual. What's another good ritual? All right, the Passover, that's a good ritual. But you have evil rituals, like drinking adrenochrome. All right, keeping the people fat and ignorant to what's going on around them. All right, that they putting human meat inside of the packaging, and putting it in these stores and these fast food restaurants. All right, everybody just eating people. All right, and it's a ritual. It's probably a ritual to keep everybody blind and keep the wicked in power. So you'll never know what's going on. Now, for example, they own the police. The Illuminati. All right, there's 13 Illuminati banking families. All right, they have the most wealth on the earth. They own the police. Okay, so when you see, for example, they got cold hard evidence on somebody like Prince Andrew, the king of England. They got cold facts that he did some evil, and so that he released certain files to Epstein that he wasn't supposed to release. All right, as being a member of their government. All right, releasing compromising information. Now, if a normal person off the street did that, they would be in prison. They would still be in the jail with an extraordinary bail, with a gigantic bail. But no, he didn't even get put in handcuffs. They didn't even bring him to the jail in a police car. They brought him to jail in the front seat with his hands unlocked and did a little bit of questioning and let him go. But if somebody else that don't got that power, that evil power behind them, did this, they would bring him to the jail, lock him up, all right, take him to court the next day, and they'll give him a bond. But they didn't even do none of that. He was just brought in for questioning. They let him go. Yeah. So these rituals, they get really sick. They get really demonic, man, really evil. So it says some blood rituals involve two or more parties cutting themselves or each other, followed by the consumption of blood. So that's drinking blood right there. All right, they be drinking blood. We know that your blood is your life. All right, blood is where the life is. So they getting a life, they getting a energy, they getting energy from the blood. See, like it says, the participants may regard the release or consumption of blood by producing energy, by consumption of blood as producing energy, useful as a sexual healing or mental stimulus. In other cases, blood is primarily the component as the sacrifice, is a primary component as the sacrifice, or material component for a spell. All right, they can cast spells using people's blood. All right, they can have you somewhere and stuck somewhere. You'll be trying to walk and you'll be stuck in place. Or you'll start levitating or finna get teleported somewhere. All right, and just so you know, for them, these pastors and these preachers, all right, that don't know nothing, all right, witchcraft works. How did Saul talk to Samuel? All right, he talked to him through witchcraft. That's proof right there that witchcraft works. All right. But let's read about it giving you energy. Let's read about when it gives you energy. So the theory that drinking blood gives you energy or acts as a life force is rooted in historical beliefs, folklore, and modern niche subcultures rather than scientific evidence. All right. So it said it's rooted in historical beliefs. What's historical? That's history, a long time ago. All right, they've been doing this stuff for a very long time. We talking about going back thousands of years. All right, thousands of years. We talking about before the children of Israel was in slavery in Egypt, they were doing witchcraft, and these practices have been passed down generation to generation, and they still doing this stuff. All right, that's why we say America is all wicked kingdoms rolled up into one. All right, because they got everything that these witches and warlocks were doing ancient long time ago. They're doing it now, hoping that it'll have the same effect and the same benefits that they had back in the day. That's why I don't trust none of that stuff. I wouldn't go to a palm reading. I wouldn't go nowhere like that with somebody playing with spirits. All right, because that's witchcraft. All right. I'm sorry about the background. I still live with my mom. I'm getting my own place pretty soon. Nice apartment downtown Joliet. All right. But so it's folklore. All right, just like these scriptures are folklore. All right. People say that we don't believe in the sky daddy. But when he in your face, or you see something fly across the sky that's an unidentified flying object, you're gonna start trying to figure out what it is. All right. You gonna see something you never seen before. All right, stuff that you believe wouldn't exist. All right, and it's the same thing with this witchcraft. All right, people don't believe it works. They try to tell themselves it doesn't work. All right, they've been believing it their whole life until you run into one, a witch or a warlock. All right, and you can smell it on them. You can look at their face and see there's something wrong with them. I know when I was living in Chicago, I seen a lot of voodoo people. I seen a lot of witchcraft, people using witchcraft. And you can tell because it's like their spirit is outside of their body almost. All right. You can see like an aura of orange around them. All right. That's why you got to stay prayed up. All right. But drinking blood gives you energy. And it's a specific type of blood. All right. It's a specific type of blood. The concept of adrenalized blood drinking is primarily associated with debunked conspiracy theories and fictional narratives, not scientifically supported practices or medical treatments. So you're going to see this all the time. All right, how it say it's a conspiracy theory and it's not scientifically supported. All right, that's because back in the day, all right, I forget. I think it was in Rome. All right, the Renaissance era. All right, we're gonna look that up. If they separated church and religion, all right, because different people had different gods. All right, so they didn't want to inflict their gods on other people. The separation of church and state is a legal. So it says the separation of church and state in the United States began with the First Amendment in 1791 and was solidified by Thomas Jefferson's 1802 letter referencing a wall of separation to protect religious freedom. Earlier, Roger Williams coined the concept soul freedom to prevent government corruption of religion. So that's in the United States, almost 1800. People was getting, you got to read about the Salem witch trials. They'll have the sheriff, he'll go and grab a witch out of her house and set her on fire. All right? And that should have stayed the same. All right, but we know where all this stuff coming to pass, Esau is trying to keep his kingdom afloat. And it seemed like he not doing enough wickedness. So he just started doing a lot more wickedness because the reason I'm saying it should have stayed, all right, because it would be a lot more understanding of the Bible. All right, people would know to being gay is not okay with the Most High. Okay? They would be teaching a false doctrine, but Christianity is better than allowing witches and warlocks running free and allowing men to marry women. All right? So it don't say nothing. It say the only place. Let's see. I don't want to say something that's not true. All right. So it say numerous countries formally separate church and state, functioning as secular states without an official religion, ensuring government's neutrality in religious matters. Key examples include the United States, France, Mexico, Uruguay, Canada, Australia, India, South Korea, and China. So that's just a couple of them. All right, but it's saying England, they don't separate church and state. They say that their judges are all religious people. Let's read that. It says, the Church of England and 26 bishops hold seats in the House of Lords. Despite this, the church is not state-funded and the UK operates as a secular democracy practice. All right? So it says the religious leaders, all right, the religious leaders are the government, the supreme government. The Church of England. Let's read it again. England does not have a formal separation of church and state. Rather, the Church of England is the established state church. The monarch acts as the supreme governor of the Church of England and 26 bishops. And it's just talking on that. It's just talking about the church, the Church of England. It's not going to give me what I want because I'm not typing it in right. But it just said I just read to you a couple of those places that still hold churches, that still keep religion in the schools. All right. So it says, well, we done with this, but blood has special properties to it. All right. They say when somebody dies on some soil, the only way to cleanse that soil from its pollution, because when you spill the blood, it pollutes the earth. But the only way to get that pollution or out of the earth is to shed the blood of the person that shed it. And that's the Most High is doing. That's the Most High is doing. Let's see. Let's read more about this. So it says, according to biblical, particularly Old Testament perspectives, blood shed through violence or murder spiritually pollutes and defiles the land. All right, spiritually, it doesn't pollute it how you would think, like the grass wouldn't grow right there no more, nothing like that. But it pollutes it spiritually. This creates a spiritual, unnatural, and unclean state that causes the land to cry out to the Most High, prevents it from producing properly, and can result in the land vomiting out or expelling its inhabitants. All right, so the ground becomes unproductive. The land, having been forced to absorb life unnaturally, may fail to produce crops, grasses, or fruit, leading to agricultural failure and famine. So it says because somebody got killed on that land the wrong way, all right, the wrong way. So it says if it was done through violence, two people fighting each other and they both live in this place, or one is visiting or something like that, and somebody gets killed. Or what was the other one? Murder. One person actually murders a person and not in self-defense. They walked up on somebody and stabbed them. Or they didn't have knives, but they didn't have guns back then, but somebody walked up to them and stabbed the person and killed them. All right, what's going to happen? The ground of that country is going to fail. All right? That person, the scriptures say if somebody break the law, especially having to do with murder, they'll be put to death. All right? What else? So also, it says the earth will cry out to the Most High. Similar to Abel's blood in Genesis 4:10, the blood shed on the ground acts as a witness, calling out to the Most High for vengeance or justice. All right? So it says the earth will call out to the Heavenly Father and ask for the perpetrator to be killed too, because it's not balanced. The scriptures say a lack of balance is an abomination to the Most High. We just read about I just told you about how the person that kills somebody, or a person accidentally kills somebody,